Hello, everybody, and we are back. We took another unscheduled hiatus. I think this is going to be becoming a thing every once in a while, but it's time to have fun with another episode of The Good and the Encyclopedia. The Bat is not with us tonight. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. We're hoping you're back soon, sir. I am your host, The Encyclopedia. Nobody on this show ricocheted into any buildings or any walls. We're all in one piece, despite the fact that the Devil's Advocate is not with us tonight. And with me is my buddy, my friend, the pastor of the Church from the Circle. He is the Reverend Jason Todd.
I think if we all bow our heads for a moment, just remember good Ricochet, who, despite giving the thumbs up in the ambulance, I'm pretty sure we all saw a piece of his soul leave his body when he hit that concrete. So even if you were going to take some time off, I think you'll be in attraction for a while. All the best to Ricochet. Samantha Irvin, thank you for running off to the other side. That's all I'll say.
You're a man of the cloth. You're not supposed to look at members of the country.
I am appreciating her efforts to be by her man's side and nothing more than that.
So on that, the reports last weekend, I believe it was Fightful, that break the story that he apparently gave his notice to WWE. He's not going to renew. And the theory was he was going to be written off as soon as this past Monday. And the storyline would probably lead some to believe that.
I mean, if that's what they were doing, it's a great way to write someone off by attempting to murder them, and it makes Braun more of a monster. So, yeah, if that's what they were doing,
and that's why I'm going out on the limb. I'm calling bullshit. I don't think he's leaving. Maybe he is down the road, but I don't think he's leaving. And the reason why I say that is, first, if this guy's leaving, and I understand it's a new creative regime under Triple H, or regime, I'm sorry, I always say that wrong. You had him, yes, get a beat down by Braun Breaker, and that would have been the way to send him off. But then you went to the level of having his fiancée, Samantha Irvin, come back and be there and do the crying routine. And then as he was being wheeled by stretcher into the ambulance, he gives a thumbs up. That is not something any company is going to allow a character to do if they're on their way out. That to me says he's going to be back and at least attempt revenge. Maybe his contract is still going to run out. Maybe he isn't going to intend to resign. I don't think so, though. And even if I'm wrong, I don't think this is the last we're seeing of Ricochet, and it's just because of that thumbs up and the Samantha Irvin thing. If he's really leaving now, I don't think you're going to go to that effort. But I'm going to be an asshole for a second. At the same time, if his contract is up, I'm not re-signing him. I don't think he sells very well. But more importantly, and I get there's an appeal there for him, he's been hit or miss quite a bit of his main roster run. He does not have the charisma to get over as a top star. I think they've done all they can with him at this point. I don't think there's anything more they could do with him. I don't think he's going to move up. I think we've hit the ceiling for Ricochet in WWE. Let him go to AEW and he could do his no selling bullshit there. I'm sorry to those of you that love Ricochet. I don't have a problem with the man in general. He amazing wrestler, great aerial ability. We know how I feel about the lack of selling, but I think there's also an it factor missing there with him. And you could say that it's WWE not letting the reins loose on him, which I would have believed more if Vince was still in charge. I feel like he's in that category that we saw with Miro and with Malachi Black. They went to AEW. They were going to get all these chances to be top guys and what have you. And Miro didn't really do much of anything in AEW at this point. Yeah, he got the TNT title. He had his video game playing run, but I don't think he's gone any higher than he did in WWE. I'd even dare say WWE, at least he had sniffed the main event for a little bit with John Cena.
And had one of the better U.S. title runs.
Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't, I mean, him losing to Adam Copeland, I, you know, I still think that was a mistake. I think that would have been the time to pull the trigger on at least Malachi Black. I know I switched there midway, but Malachi Black has not gotten any higher than he did in WWE in my mind. And all right, yeah, he's trios champion, yeah, big deal. And Miro the same. So I feel like Ricochet's in that same category. I think he's going to have amazing matches if he goes to AEW. Specifically, you're going to see Ricochet and Will Ospreay because Will Ospreay's given him his vote of confidence. But you know what? I'd say let him go. It's going to sound terrible to say. I think at this point, I feel like Samantha Irving would be a bigger loss. I feel like she's gotten a bigger cult following than Ricochet has.
So they're not letting her go anytime soon.
Yeah, but you know what? If she decides I'm not going to renew, who's going to stop him?
That's
No one's
true
going to
too.
stop her. I don't think she would. I don't think it would make sense for her to leave WWE to follow Ricochet to AEW if that's where he ends up.
I don't
Because
think that's why she would go.
yeah,
I think
I mean
she would go on a
AEW's
bigger and better.
yeah, I mean AEW got rid of Dasha Fuentes if I remember correctly. They got Justin Roberts locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they need another announcer, so I think Samantha Irving, if she wants to stay as a ring announcer, she has to stay with WWE. I don't think she's going to leave WWE to go to AEW. If she ever left, I think it would be to pursue some other things. But
yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I find her way more compelling and interesting and valuable at this point than Ricochet. And it's sad to say, but at the same time, I think it's actually pretty commendable for what she's done for herself and the fan base she's developed over time. Okay.
That's fair.
I'm done ricocheting around this. You're up.
I'll just say this about it. Like the thing about Ricochet, and I like Ricochet. I thought maybe you saw his best in terms of WWE. You probably saw his best in NXT. That was probably him at his best. There, I think on the main roster, I was listening to someone. I think it was probably Bully Ray who said it. He said that thing that's apparently both a blessing and a curse. How he's looked at in WWE probably as a good hand, which, to my understanding, means okay, we can trust you in the ring with our guys that we're trying to build up. Might not get much further, but maybe you'll get a main event spot on the TV every so often. But we don't have any major plans for you. And to that, you need people like that in the company because everybody can't win. So I get it. If he wants to go somewhere else, more power to him. I bet if he leaves, he's back within about 3 years. That's what I would imagine. I don't think they'll ever see Ricochet at that level he was in Lucha Underground. We'll never see that on WWE programming. I just don't foresee it because they're not going to have those types of opportunities for matches. We're never going to see that. But yeah, I mean, go main event somewhere. Nothing wrong with that. Go tear it down with Will Ospreay. Shoot, put him in the ring with Swerve. They'll do something really good too. Actually, there's a ton of people in AEW who would have some great matches with. There's a ton of people in TNA he would have some great matches with. And, or just go to New Japan or wherever. He's not going to be looking for work for long. So there's that. I don't think we ever got a chance to see a Ricochet character. And it's too bad. But, hey, I watch him when he's in. You know when they did that Hurt Business thing? Apparently it was basically a flip of a coin, or essentially a flip of a coin between him or Cedric Alexander joining that group. And I wonder how different things would have been if it was him that joined that group, even though it happened during the the Performance Center era, so we never got them in front of the crowd. I wonder if pairing him with like an MVP and Shelton Benjamin, who is much better at mixing the athleticism in the ring with the storytelling. And even Lashley, I wonder if that would have helped him on in terms of climbing up that. But who knows? Fare thee well, Ricochet. You better be.
I have found it interesting, and like I said, I'm ricocheting away from this. We've had Kevin Owens and Street Profits together recently, and I'm guessing Lashley must be injured or something because it just seems like such an odd pairing to me.
Yeah, he's injured because he was supposed to be in the last PLE thing. He was supposed to be in the King of the Ring tournament, and he got injured just before that.
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's right. The whole King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring was injury prone. I forgot about that. So what wasn't filled with injury prone individuals was this past weekend's NXT Battleground. So picks wise, Jason, we'll say, won the pay-per-view championship, which just means he did the best on the pay-per-view picks. There wasn't much competition because it became a one-on-one contest because Rob, the devil's advocate, forgot to put his picks in. He's so far ahead of us, it doesn't really matter. But Jason got 3 out of 6 right. I got 2 out of 6 right. So that's one of the things I thought was interesting about this Battleground is, for a while, at least for me, with AEW and WWE and even NXT, I was getting most of the picks right. This is one of my worst showing in probably a good year or so, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. They fooled me on some stuff, and maybe some of it was me looking at this through rose-colored glasses, specifically with the Roxanne Perez Jordan Grace match. I fully admit I picked Jordan Grace. I thought, you're going with this crossover, Forbidden Door, whatever you want to call it. They'll go all the way in this case, but they didn't. There was shenanigans, at least, which you predicted.
Yes. Although I have a feeling it was probably, making that decision was probably harder than we would even give them credit for. They probably had a plan in place with Jordan too, and to do something like that. And I think either way could have worked, but I like Perez. And I like this Perez with the attitude. I like her with the attitude and a bit of paranoia about her. It's been kind of fun to watch her promos lately.
I'm still not quite sold on her as a heel. I think she's getting better, but she doesn't scream heel to me at this point, and I'm probably in the minority there, and I get that. I also feel like I feel like Shawn Michaels actually is not in touch with what fans want these days. I feel like NXT, while it's getting better, it's been much better. The last several months, I've actually say it's been one of the enjoyable aspects of watching wrestling on a weekly basis in some respects for me. I just feel like when I'm watching the show, especially with the quick matches and some of the storyline, I feel like it still screams 90s Shawn Michaels type booking. Because I feel like, they're getting to the main roster, and I want to go into Braun Breaker specifically. I feel like in NXT, they're getting booked one way, and one of the criticisms under Vince was that just like anybody he hired from any other company, all bets are off. Whatever they did before didn't matter. We're getting Vince's stink on it now. I feel like that's happening here with NXT, and specifically Braun Breaker. Braun did have a heel run. He did have a face run. This heel run now, it just seems so new and different, and I don't feel like he's ready for that yet, especially when they seem to bring it up as a face and they just turned him heel so quickly. I'm not loving it.
I feel like this Braun, it's weird. I really like what I'm seeing. And I like the idea of a guy who's just kind of, sorry for anybody who takes this offensively, but somebody who seems a little off his meds, has a chip on his shoulder, and arguably coming out of NXT. I like the idea of people coming out of NXT to the main roster with a chip on their shoulder. But you didn't put me in the King of the Ring. I'm going to make everybody on the roster pay. I like that burn. And if he keeps doing that up the roster, it's going to be pretty interesting. And I don't know who stops it, but it's pretty interesting. Him and Dragunov had that match though, and it wasn't their best match. It didn't feel right. But it was good. It just wasn't as good as I've seen out.
That's fair. What I will say is the Raw fans that seemed to be the match they reacted to the most. So
yes,
I don't know that. I think part of the main roster hasn't really seen those two face off. I see what you're saying. I don't totally disagree. I feel like it's kind of forced with him with the lengths he's going to. Like not stopping with some of these beatdowns where he takes it as far as he does. It just doesn't scream Braun Breaker to me at this point. The other thing is I feel like he's become a mishmash of a lot of classic guys. Goldberg is Scott Steiner. Like I don't think that he's
hear a bit of Scott Steiner in some of his promos lately, don't you?
Yeah, I just don't feel like he's really found himself in this character on Raw now.
It takes time though. I mean, it took Bayley a bit of time to find herself in that when she did her turn.
Yeah,
I think there is a
I feel like Bayley did a much. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a grace period for that. I feel like Bayley got it a lot quicker, but and I'm trying not to say 100 times because I took a public speaking or public presentation class today, and I'm still saying 100 times.
Because it's in your head now.
Could be. Let me think about it for a second. That's something I learned today.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Braun has a lot of potential. I don't seem to be a big fan of a lot of these guys. I just feel like a face run to a heel turn would have been better. I think he just got up here as a face and let him run with that for a little while. But let's see what happens. I dare say he might be the one to beat Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. I think they're going that direction. I don't think they want to push him too much. I mean, there's theories that he's going to be the face of WWE once they hit Netflix. I think that's a little too soon, but who knows? We'll see.
Maybe change in 6-7 months. I guess.
Yeah, and it's not even that it's a lack of heels at this point. They still got. I mean, I'd argue Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre are still very heelish.
You know, I'm glad you brought up Drew McIntyre, and because I want to talk about this a little later.
Do it now.
I can't tell if he's a heel or a face right now because he's doing face stuff. And part of it is, I think it's just because he's been so freaking hilarious on his Twitter and his Instagram. But I noticed in the main event on Monday, he was kind of, doing the glad hand and with the crowd and playing to them. And I know he's up against the Judgment Day, but he's the heel in the feud with CM Punk, isn't he?
That's the question. Is this feud still going to resume, or is Punk further away than we realize? Is Punk doing the run-in this week? Because we know Judgment Day is not allowed to be involved on Saturday because of what happened on Raw this week. I think it's solely the case of location. They're going to be in Scotland, in his home country.
That's right. No matter what they do, he's the hero.
Right. So I felt like they just at least for now, they have to embrace it. While I think Punk interfering is likely to happen, I actually hope they don't. I think that would be a bad idea in Glasgow specifically. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a little too obvious. I guess we'll see.
I saw a meme online. I saw someone post something online about that, and I thought he was saying, everybody says they're so predictable, but what if all of a sudden at the point where you think Punk is going to show up, you hear, and they switched over to Joe Hendry's theme.
Oh, is that I saw something had gone with that. I've still not listened to that theme because I heard it just like engulfs your thinking. Like you'll be
Yeah,
thinking about it. Yeah,
once you hear it, it's over.
yeah, that's why I don't think I want to hear it because for that exact reason, I don't want it
And
playing
even
in my
then, I
head over
wasn't
and over
supposed to
again.
say his name.
Okay, that's enough. No. Yeah, let's.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
I'm a little. So when you talk about the heels and the faces, I wonder, and maybe this is a UFC influence too, where sometimes it is just going to be, hey, we got these folks to fight because you want to see them fight, and there's not a heel face story. It's the how much do they dislike each other story.
Mm-mm.
Maybe that's part of it, and so maybe then they're going to need somebody like a Braun Breaker to be, a psychotic heel because they're moving away from it. I mean, Damian Priest was in New York this past weekend. He was at the Puerto Rican Day parade.
Yep.
He was a hero in that thing.
Yeah.
So
Everybody overlooked that Zelina Vega was involved too.
Was she in the parade?
She was standing right behind us. You didn't even notice. She was there with the same flag cape that she wore in Puerto Rico.
That's
yeah.
That's really good.
They mentioned it briefly, but I was like, damn, she got shafted on this one.
Listen, the champ was there. Everybody's second fiddle to the champ.
Fair enough. So we got Forbidden Door coming up in a couple weeks here. I feel like it's falling flat, and WWE hasn't done much in the way of a Forbidden Door. If you're into that theory or that phrase for that roster swapping,
Well, you're starting to see it. Starting to see them
a little bit,
things here and there.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, Jordan Grace and Ash by Elegance. No, not that I need to see Ash by Elegance back on WWE TV so quickly, but anyway, they were involved this past week, and they hinted at the 25-man battle royal to determine the new number one contender for the NXT Championship to face Trick Williams. That it was going to involve people that might not necessarily be from this locker room, or I think it was multiple. The participants would be from multiple locker rooms, which I thought was interesting. And I think I saw somewhere on social media that Matt Hardy basically declared that he'd be one of the 25.
I saw his post. He was saying, I think they have a show coming up this weekend too, and I think he's in the title match. I think he's right now their number one contender, and his statement was, after I win that title, maybe I'll show up.
What is that? Is that against all odds, or is that something? I'm getting the names mixed up. Yeah, it might be against all odds. Yeah, because I think the theory was that Jordan Grace was going to end up defending against an unnamed opponent who may turn out to be someone from WWE. There's also Brooks Jensen has been kept off TV. I don't know if you caught on NXT this week, but they basically.
They had the promo for him.
No. Not him.
No, that was for
not Josh Briggs.
Yeah, that's right.
Brooks Jensen. So apparently, he's basically been insinuating that. I think on social media, I have to remember. I don't remember off the top of my head because I haven't watched it. But from what I read, I think it's him insinuating that he might hop over to TNA, and then NXT is disrespecting him and ignoring him. So they came back from commercial this week, and I think it was Vic Joseph that said, "Get him out of here already." And he kind of looked at Booker T like, "Again, are you serious?" But they didn't mention anything more than that. So if you're not into the internet wrestling community stuff, I guess, the dirt sheets and what have you, or just going on social media to follow your favorite wrestlers, you probably had no idea what the hell he was referring to. He did make a wisecrack about somebody, I think, entering the ring and Booker T and Age, and Booker T just kind of stared a hole through him, which was pretty funny. I gotta find the exact I gotta find the exact click, but I burst out laughing like I was tickled by that one. But
we talked about this recently, but
we did.
I have to say it. I enjoy that pairing of Victus and Booker T so much.
Yeah.
They're so mean to each other.
Yeah,
and it's hilarious. It like nothing falls flat with them. And between that and Booker T then losing his mind, depending on which woman is walking towards the ring, I mean, I guess he's the new king because when Sexy Red showed up there, I thought the Queen Charmel was gonna lock that man out of the house because he was too much.
I did find a clip, so I'm just gonna play it. I don't think you're gonna hear this over the broadcast necessarily, but unless there was a way I could do this, but I'm just gonna play it to get the exact words. So let me hear this. It's about 14 seconds, so sorry for the radio silence, folks. That's what it was. Somebody was entering in the ring that was really young, and Vic Joseph said, "Well, he has been watching you his entire life," and that's when Booker T just started staring a hole through him. And Vic just kept going, and then all of a sudden he realized Vic was staring at him, and he goes, "What?" It's classic.
Love it.
Yeah, if you Google Booker T, give Vic Joseph death stare, and like look for something in the last week, you'll find it. But I think it was that guy that's I forget the guy's name, but I think he's Bouncy. I think is his moniker. I don't know.
Is it yeah, he calls himself the young OG?
It might be. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. When the guy comes out, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'll just.
Was it the match with Sean Spears?
It might have been.
Okay, then I know.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I probably sound racist in a lot of ways, and I'm not. I just he kind of came out of nowhere.
Is coming, man.
Huh?
Oh, Juneteenth is coming. You gotta show some love, man.
Oh my god! What door did I just open? Forbidden door, apparently.
Yes. No. He is, and I'm actually. This is something that bringing something up because everybody that's coming in now to NXT clearly elite athletic abilities.
Oh yeah.
Everybody is an elite athlete, which I don't think we've ever seen that kind of thing in professional wrestling where everybody is an elite, at least collegiate level athlete.
True.
So I think what you're seeing is that's what they're relying on because that's what they know. And I think NXT is the place where you do that because that's where you're supposed to learn the rest.
And that's actually that Kehlani Jordan won the first ever women's North American title. And I was like, all right, I'm not surprised. Actually, I know who I picked. I know who you picked. I wouldn't have booked it necessarily that way, but when I saw that when she won, I said to myself, all right, they are high on this girl. Yeah, they're high on this girl. I would have went with someone with a little bit more charisma that wasn't quite this young in her career, but it works. I don't totally disagree with it either, and I get it.
I think you mentioned her name, and I almost picked her, Lash Legend, who I wouldn't have been surprised if she won it.
Yeah,
because this past, I want to say 7-8 months, she started putting that together with the character. You kind of tell she knows who she is, but that's another. I mean, she's another high-level athlete out there. Not many bad choices from that match.
No, absolutely not. I think, we had Sol Ruca, we had Jada Parker. Actually, there was one bad choice.
Yes.
And that would have been Meeching. And I'm sorry
and
to those of you that
felt
like
her job in that wasn't to win. I felt like she was in there because she was basically the most experienced
But
wrestler in the
apparently,
match.
yeah, but apparently she's the first contender for that belt. She's getting a title shot next week.
That makes sense because they're friends. That
Mm,
doesn't surprise me.
I don't know.
Plus, you put them in the ring with somebody who's been in the ring.
I think storyline wise, and I like Fallon Henley more, and I picked her. I think Lash
Right.
Legend, at least storyline, it would have been very interesting because of the interaction with Trick Williams and
Yes.
and now Metaphor doesn't have the Heritage Cup and what have you. So I
Hey,
think it would have
gold.
been interesting for her to point out that, hey, I'm the one with the gold now. We're going to start listening to what I have to say, and I
Well,
don't know.
to that
Mhm.
point though, that exact thing you just said was why she ended up in the main event promo on Tuesday, the following Tuesday, as a possible contender for Roxanne Perez, because Metaphor, she got up there. She and who's the other one from Metaphor? But they basically came to the ring and said, "Hey, we
Oh,
need gold."
I'm sorry. I had this confused look on my face because half the damn women's roster came out at the end. I felt like, um, actually, Wendy Chu should be the next number one contender.
Oh,
I'm
Nightmare Wendy
intrigued by this
Chu.
new I'm intrigued by this new variation of her character.
Yeah, yeah. That's what she. It kind of reminds me of There's a bit of that character she was playing when Xia Li was back in NXT, and she was that mysterious
Yeah.
figure in the chair.
Yep.
There's a bit of that in terms of the meanness. So I like it when wrestlers are mean. It just tickles.
I,
Angry, mean Wendy Chu. Give me more.
yeah, I feel like she's proven that she could play the different type of characters they'd want to throw at her. That I dare say that if she keeps doing well with this character, maybe she's overdue for a call up. I know she was injured for a while, so that's probably the reason why they put her back at NXT. But let's see. I thought this was really interesting, and the way she played it off was well done. I mean, she's been given some interesting characters, some goofy, some really serious, like the character you just mentioned. Let's see. But she is back. What's also back this weekend, specifically, is WWE's back in the United Kingdom for their second ever Clash of the Castle, this time in Glasgow, Scotland. Last time they were in Cardiff, Wales. Much smaller arena, although from what I've seen online, it almost looks like this is more of an indoor amphitheater type setting. I'm intrigued to see how they set this thing up because it looks like the ring will be on one side of the arena and there might be a few seats on one side, but most of the seats are kind of that amphitheater setting in a bowl on the other side. So I'm
That's
intrigued to see what the aesthetics are going to be on this one.
also
But
wonder
that,
how that'll acoustically play.
mm,
Like, will we hear the crowd? I imagine with an amphitheater setup, though, you should hear them, and they're going to be loud as hell anyway.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I guess the saving grace for the WWE on that show is the fact that it's starting at 7 p.m. UK time or GMT. Because if it was a little bit later, they'd probably all be trashed. Although then again, I can't speak specifically for Scotland, but at least in Cardiff, Wales, when I was there on vacation years ago with my wife, we went into the heart of Cardiff, which I know that's Wales, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and people were tanked already. Like the drinking culture is real. Yeah, it was like the scene you'd expect to see at like 9, 10, 11 o'clock in a college town. I was seeing it at 4 o'clock.
Oh man,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do an episode. I don't know. Are they there up until Monday Raw, or are they only there for SmackDown show?
No, Monday, I believe they're in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's such an interesting. They usually pick someplace on the East Coast, but I guess they've had so many trips internationally and then had to come back that I guess they decided to go somewhere else. Like Corpus Christi, Texas, just
I guess.
it seems like a little bit of a stretch, and based on this card, which I think we're ready to go into our picks for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this card screams to me. Well, no, maybe not. I was going to say it seems more Raw favored, but actually, it's slightly, but not by much. We do have 5 matches here. We have the Intercontinental title match. We have Sami Zayn defending against Chad Gable. Women's tag team triple threat title match.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, as well as the team of Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I do have a problem with the booking of Shayna Baszler this past week at Battleground. I get Lola Vice, they're high on her, but Shayna Baszler getting a title shot that had already been announced this coming weekend, I think she should have won that. But I digress.
I was worried about that too, and we both had picked Shayna Baszler to win that match, and I mean, I thought it was a good match, and I liked what they did with the knee, but
Mhm.
I was honestly surprised to see them play that up on Raw, that knee injury. Saw how it affected her. So, but I guess you saw her persevere through it too.
Yeah.
That was the key. Like, she's still dangerous. I guess that's the story going in. She's still dangerous even with a bad wheel. So, okay.
The other thing I found interesting is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I get they're getting this match. It's in their home country. So I get that respect. But you've made them look weak going into this. I think if anybody needed that win more, it was that team. They haven't really been on TV much since they dropped the belts to Shayna and Ronda like a year ago. And
That's right. It was to Shayna Baszler.
mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, them getting a win, that would have made it look like anything could happen.
Yeah. All right. Instead of just mentioning the matches, we should probably do our picks. Sami Zayn, Chad Gable.
If I told you that there's a rumor that Chad Gable is on a per appearance contract right now because he hasn't worked out his extension yet,
Mm-hmm.
does that affect who you pick?
No, I would have picked Sami Zayn anyway. I don't believe that Gable's going to Scotland if he's on a per appearance deal at this point. That's just my opinion. I think there's another case where he's locked in and they're just not. I think WWE is trying to throw the dirt sheets off by leaking stuff out that's actually not there.
I've got Sammy for this too, and it's just because I think they're building up someone else. It might be Braun, like you mentioned, somebody. Mm-hmm. I could see him losing it at SummerSlam.
Yeah, actually, that might be the perfect time because that will allow this whole Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Alpha Academy storyline to come to a proper end. Because even if Sami wins on Saturday, there's still the element of when is the Alpha Academy going to walk out on Chad?
Yeah,
I feel like they want to build the suspense on that thing, but I feel like we're. I feel like in a lot of ways we're already at the point where it's probably been a little bit too long. I think it's gonna.
Yeah, there's some things that could have happened weeks ago. By now, also my question is now, and I'm a big advocate for Chad Gable.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who needs gold at some point.
Yeah, I think them putting the Intercontinental title on Sami backed them into a corner in some stuff because they want to have more respectable title reigns now.
Yeah.
And I think if Sami beat Gunther and then dropped it to Chad Gable now, I just feel like it would be too soon. And then what was the point? Because Sami should have gotten some more sort of rub out of this. And since then, he's faced Bronson Reed and Chad Gable in a triple threat, and then Chad Gable. I feel like there's other challengers there that he should have gone through or should go through before he drops that belt. Makes me wonder if Gunther losing was the original plan.
Oh, I think so. I think it was always the plan for him to lose at WrestleMania.
Oh, I think it was the plan for him to lose at WrestleMania. I don't know that it was Sami. I don't think it was Sami originally.
I would say this. I feel like maybe 6 months prior, I had the thought that Sami could do it. I think we even talked about it in the show. maybe Sammy could do it if they build him up. Right?
Well, folks,
but-
if you want to go back and listen to previous Sold Out and let us know, that would be great. If you don't, that's fine too, because I sure as hell am not going back and listening to all this.
That's right. You have to take my word for it. I was right. That's it. That's all there was to it. No,
Right.
But that being said, maybe there's some injuries going on I don't realize. I want to see some more feuds for Sami Zayn because he's great chasing for the title.
Yeah.
He needs some more. Guys.
Fair. I'm going to call you people out. By the way, we've asked you to leave comments, to leave your feedbacks, and I've seen nothing. Let's get on it, folks. Come on now.
Give us those opinions. I don't know what y'all think. What are your picks? I don't want to know what y'all think. You know what? Don't say anything. Just tell us we're right.
Okay, fair enough. Now going back to the picks.
Yes.
All right. Women's tag team title triple threat match, which I already had mentioned this match before. Is anyone picking against Bianca and Jade? Okay. So we'll save we'll save there. Piper Niven, I think, would be a credible challenger for Bayley's Women's Championship.
Nice.
Not right now.
I think they've done a nice job with her going into this match. It's a short build, but
that's my problem.
She had a hell of a promo last.
She did. I just feel like this came out of nowhere because they realized, oh shit, she's from Scotland. Let's throw her into a match. That's all I feel like we're seeing with some of these ladies on this card. So I think there is a time where Piper could be women's champion. I don't think it's now, and I think this got thrown together very quickly. I mean, you already hinted at Nia versus Bayley. Is anyone really? Is anyone expecting them to reverse course on that? I sure as hell am not. Unless you're going to give it to Piper because it's her home country, and then Bayley wins it back in Toronto at Money in the Bank. I just don't. I wouldn't. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger, and they got to be very careful with having too many of the Scottish faithful losing on this card. They can't go 0 for 3, which is why I'm going to look. I quit match AJ versus Cody. Are you picking against Cody?
No.
Okay. And you pick Bayley on the Piper match, or are you going?
Yeah, I picked Bayley.
Okay. So yeah, this is a typical WWE lately where we kind of we'll see if we're right, but if we're right, it's been pretty obvious.
What's wrong, WWE?
I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily. I don't think they always have to try to shock us.
No.
NXT, I think that the Battleground show did a good enough deal with that.
True.
This is where I don't think, even if he runs in, I don't think Drew McIntyre can face another loss in his home country. I just don't. I think Drew is actually going to win the title this Saturday from Damian Priest.
Interesting. You know, that makes for an interesting story with the Judgment Day, which needs more interesting things to happen. And I also need for Damian Priest to get that edge back, which I feel like, and I just mentioned it before, he's felt more like a hero to the people. He's been more of that guy. I want to be the great champion. I respect what Seth Rollins did. I want to live up to that and surpass it. Noble, very noble. But I want evil Damian Priest, man. I want evil Damian Priest. I want him going out there doing heinous things with his group. And I think losing the title would help him do that. I'm ready to take the title off him.
Okay. I think they backed themselves into
who else. Yeah, I don't know who else would go against them at this point.
I think they backed themselves into the corner. Maybe Damian. Maybe we don't see a world championship defended at Money in the Bank, and
that's possible.
And the two Money in the Bank matches end up being your total main event. I don't think that's going to happen. I thought this Cody Rhodes AJ Styles I Quit match probably was not necessary for the Scotland card, but they're going there now, so be it. Maybe that should have been better off in Toronto, but
I'll tell you this: Drew McIntyre, Gunther, 2.
Is that 2?
SummerSlam.
Is that two?
Saying. I think he had one Intercontinental challenge because then it was the triple threat with him and Sheamus.
That I remember. I thought they had a one-on-one for the Intercontinental.
They had a one-on-one.
Okay.
So I think this would be their second one-on-one.
Yeah, look, Damian Priest right now, I know I called and did a lot of us cash in for the title. I just don't think it's working as well as they'd hope. I think he's still up and coming. I think he's upper mid card now, just below the main event level, but he doesn't scream main eventer quite to me. I think he is finding actually his sea leg, so to speak, lately. It's getting better, but I think there's too much of a story with the Judgment Day splitting. Unless I'm going to go out on the limb, and I think I've said this before. If you're going to lead to a Damian Priest Finn Balor match and the Demon King comes back, then I'm all for it. Other than that, I don't know. I'm wondering when we're going to get a skit of who really got Liv Morgan's hotel key. I think it's going to end up being Carlito, which I think would be hilarious.
That would be. Especially if Finn thought he had it, and then it turned out Carlito took it.
You know, it'd be funny as if in the segment Carlito would be like, well, we know I spit in the face of people who want to be cool. But do you spit or do you swallow?
I kid you not. I just watched, this is maybe 2 weeks ago, I saw a clip from back in the day where he asked Maria Kanellis that during an interview.
That's where I got the idea from, I guess.
And I think she proudly proclaimed that she swallowed, and Ron Simmons said, "Darn."
I'm gonna look for that, yeah. But I think I do remember that.
I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm gonna pick Damian Priest.
I don't think that's against the grain. I can see that.
Yeah, well, to me, it's against the grain because the point you brought up about everybody losing in their hometown. But I think something's going to happen, and Damian Priest is going to pull it out.
Okay.
I don't know if he has that title by SummerSlam still. But I think he's going to.
I don't think.
How many defenses has he had?
One, maybe two. I guess the Rey Mysterio match was a title defense, so two.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember the big thing was that his first title defense was at Backlash against Jey Uso.
That's right.
Unless you're gonna pull the trigger with Jey Uso main event Jey Uso, and then maybe that's how you get to Gunther Jey Uso too. I could see that possibly, but I just can't see them having four Scottish-born and bred wrestlers losing in their first pay-per-view in Scotland. I just don't see it.
So if you were going to pick one of these three matches where you think, okay, maybe they'll shock us, you're thinking it's the WWE World Championship.
100%. I don't think guarantee it's not going to be in that tag match. I don't see it. I guarantee it won't be in that women's match. I think all three of those ladies are getting the Indy Hartwell Australia Elimination Chamber treatment. They're just on the card because they're local.
I'm looking forward to the women's championship match, I'll be honest. I think that's going to be a good match.
I mean, look, if you want to go back and see Bayley defending against I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this. I don't want to insult anybody, even though I've done enough of that tonight. An irresistible force, we'll say.
Well said.
Go back and look at Bayley against Nia Jax in London and one of the NXT takeovers, I believe it was. I think it was NXT Takeover London. That match was way better than it should have been. And I think that was actually the match in the night that the Hey Bayley chants really truly started.
Yes, that's where it did start.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh. All right. Well, I think we started with a good show. I think we should end on a high note. So thank you guys for listening. Check us out on YouTube. Although you're probably checking us out on YouTube now if if you're listening to this. We are stubbornly, and this is me, still posting the podcast version of this in audio form. So you can still check us out on Spotify as our home, but we're available on Apple Podcasts and all other podcast platforms. Support our brother show, which is actually doing quite well, the OTBS podcast with Freddie Eloso and Big E Mafia. I actually was almost tempted for us to start talking about the lack of good movies in the box office the last several months, but
It's okay because Godzilla -1 is on Netflix, so I don't need to go to the movie theater.
I know, but I'm paying $25 a month for AMC A list, and I haven't used the damn thing since March. So, yeah, every time I see a movie listed, yeah, all right, fine, we'll do movies for a few minutes. Every time I see a movie listed that I'm semi interested in, I then end up reading the reviews, and I'm like, maybe I better not.
Don't read the
Or
reviews.
I usually don't, but you know what it is? I look at the audience reaction. So like there's one I think by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter that's out now, and I was intrigued, and then I'm reading it's not the audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes are low. So I'm like, all right, if the audience scores are also low, maybe I better not. There's been a couple things that have popped up here and there. I know Civil War was one. Abigail was another that I wanted to see, and they were just so in and out of theaters quickly. Huh?
Yeah, everything's up on streaming like within 3 weeks, it seems.
Yeah, I guess they didn't expect a long run. And look, you guys can laugh at me for this. I do like my share of Disney movies and Pixar movies. I feel like the last several years I haven't been as interested in Pixar with the stories they're coming up with. I never saw Inside Out, so I'm not planning on seeing the sequel right now, which comes out where we actually it comes out today because it's now Friday morning.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I did see the first one, and I thought it was pretty good.
I've heard that. I've been told
but I don't need to see this. I don't need to see this.
Yeah, this is a case of I'd watch the first one to decide if I want to go to the theaters and see the second one, and I just don't see myself making the effort. I look, I'm going to be honest, and yeah, we're going to talk movies like now for a few more minutes. I think pandemic hit, they had all these good movies that they had planned to release, and as soon as things opened up again, lockdowns were reduced and what have you, they started blowing their load on everything they had in their inventory. And now we're at a point that what we're seeing is we had the writer's strike and we had the backlog of movies they wanted to release during the pandemic that they held out. And then as soon as boxes open, they rushed everything out. I think now we're in a bit of a lull because they didn't save anything and they didn't have enough stuff filmed to sustain the aftermath from the backlog of movies that were going to get released.
If there's something else, I don't think people in the States are going to the movies the same anymore. I don't think we're going the same. I mean, it has to be a legitimate event. They just said the new Bad Boys movie made $100 million over the first weekend, but most of that
wasn't 100. Maybe
worldwide.
Worldwide,
that's what it was. Worldwide, it made $100 million, but it didn't do that impressively at home. So
nothing has been doing well in the U.S. Not that it's doing that much better worldwide, but worldwide has saved a lot of the box office right now. Look, okay. So there was that movie If, Imaginary Friend, with Ryan Reynolds. I was semi-interested in that, and the more I saw the trailers, I was like, I don't care. Garfield apparently has a movie. Don't give a shit.
Another movie.
I've seen all the Bad Boys. I've never loved them, so I'm actually out on this Ride or Die, and I'm sure it's good. Furiosa, I was interested in just because I like Anya Taylor-Joy, but I think I've seen the original Mad Max and maybe Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, I guess was the second one. I don't remember. The Mel Gibson ones, I've seen those. I'm not going into that.
Quiet Place? Quiet Place, day one?
I haven't seen any of those.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to go back and watch those. Yeah, the last thing I saw was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I thought they did a nice job on. Fall Guy, no interest. It was called Watchers. That was the one I wanted to see next, and it's not didn't get.
Is that the Shyamalan one?
Yeah. Apparently, it's his daughter, and he basically did what he normally does. He paid for the movie and then got somebody to buy it to distribute it. I want to see it, but considering the reviews, I'm not so sure. Looking at the coming soon stuff, seeing what else is out now. Oh, Challengers was good. I saw Challengers. I thought that was
I
pretty
heard
good.
that was good.
Godzilla versus Kong was fun. But that's
I like that one.
yeah. So there was one called Young Woman in the Sea, and it was about, I think, this lady that swam like 27 miles. Um, I wanted to see that one, but that one kind of disappeared pretty quickly. There's a Western out now that I thought looked at least interesting from what I read the details were, but I think
Really?
Viggo Mortensen was in it. If I
Oh,
remember.
I did see. I feel like I did see a trailer
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, here it is. The Dead Don't Hurt, but it was on limited release, so that's out the window. The Amy Winehouse movie tanked. I was like, all right, that one's out. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm interested in.
I'll see
Uh,
that in the theater.
I will absolutely see Despicable Me 4. I have no shame in admitting that.
Nice.
I'm on the fence about Twisters. I'm not sure about that one.
All right, listen.
Okay.
I'm not gonna rant. I swear, I'm not gonna rant about this. But come on,
Yeah, we want to get to 1 hour. We're at 55 minutes now.
right? Come on, though. Really?
That's my
That's it?
reaction.
Twisters? That was
I yeah.
what is it? 25 years we waited for this? Twisters? And that's what they could think of? Let's have a bunch of them.
And I like Daisy Edgar Jones. I really like her, but yeah, I'm out. Wow. But if you look in the AMC app, they already got the ticket for the preview night on July 18th are already available.
How do you fight a twister? You don't.
There's a two-parter Western called Horizon, an American Saga, and it's actually with Kevin Costner.
Oh,
Yeah, the first part comes out June 28th. The second part comes out August 16th. The first part, I believe, it's 3 hours. And then the second part is 2 hours and 44 minutes.
if I'm not mistaken. I think the last Western I saw with Kevin Costner was Open Range, which was a really good movie. But it was a long movie. But
I'm
it
not
was
sure if I
really
saw that
good.
one. I might have.
Yeah,
Well,
it's fantastic. That's his wheelhouse.
no,
That
no,
type
no.
of
You know what his wheelhouse is? If you haven't watched the TV show, he's on Yellowstone.
oh yeah.
He's like the ultimate bad guy. Like never expected that out of him. He's killing it. Oh, there's one. That might be a romance flying to the moon. Borderlands, apparently, the video game adaptation's coming out in August. What? I don't know. I never
Did they
really.
do a TV show for that?
You probably
That was the
did.
one Samoa Joe was on, wasn't it?
That's Twisted Metal.
Ah, okay.
That was Twisted Metal. We're getting Moana 2 in November. Beetlejuice. I liked the first one. Didn't love it. I don't know.
Will I see it? Probably.
I'm not sure I will. The Joker, the Joker sequel, the musical one.
Can I tell you
That's
something?
coming. That's
I still
October.
haven't seen that first one. I started watching it. I
Really?
just couldn't.
Okay. I really enjoyed the first one, but
I've heard it's a good movie. I don't doubt it. I
yeah.
just
Oh, this is a re-release, but apparently there's a director's cut of Midsummer coming out
eesh.
on next Thursday. Crap. Sorry, guys, we will not be recording next week because Anthony's going to probably drag his happy little ass to watch the stupid director's cut. Oh man, it's literally for one night only. Break.
Well, you gotta go. You gotta see it.
I don't know. 2 hours and 50 minutes though. How long was
How long was the original?
I'm checking that.
I feel like it was
I
just
didn't think it was
two.
that long. I thought it was 2.5.
Maybe about.
There's like really no storyline to that movie whatsoever. I mean, there's a very light story. The original was 2 hours and 28 minutes, and this one's clocking at. Let me reopen this. 250.
250.
Yeah, that's an extra 20 minutes. I don't know about that.
2 minutes. 22 minutes of what? That's the question.
I'll tell you one thing: the local theater, the AMC near me that's showing it, it's 7 o'clock on next Thursday. Oh, I probably got to work a baseball game already. Actually, I think I said I was going to. Maybe I'll hope for a rain out. I gotta say, they've actually it looks like they've already sold like half the theater. That's pretty impressive considering I didn't even see an ad for this damn thing.
Hmm.
I don't know. Anyway, all right, now we can wrap this up.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, so For those of you that are listening before then, Clash at the Castle, it's 2 o'clock on Saturday. So it's a Scotland show. It's from the UK, so it's an earlier one. But we thank you guys for listening. For those of you that are into soccer, there's 2 big tournaments starting up. We have the Euro starting up, which I personally enjoy more than the World Cup. I think it's more competitive, and the Copa America. So if you're into that, have at it. The craziness starts actually, I think, today. We thank you guys for listening as always. As I mentioned, check out the OTBS podcast. I'm sure the next episode will probably be posted on Sunday. And we will hopefully catch you guys next week. Have a great weekend and enjoy.
Peace.